everyone. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Darren Jenkins. I am Darren Jenkins. And joining me on the show today, composer, musician, and entrepreneur Alec Puro, who is an award-winning film and television composer, accomplished studio musician. To his credit, Black Summer, the Mighty Ones, Spin the Bottle, and he is now a founder. Who he's gotten into the tech side of things with his recently launched company Viralnoise. Alec, thanks for joining the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm interested in this because I've never, I've talked to a few different composers before. I've never talked to one who's ventured into the startup entrepreneurial game as a combination with their music skills, which I think,
Oh, interesting.
it's not like, I feel like most the people who run like the music tech side of things are more tech than they are music.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's refreshing to have somebody from the music side step in to kind of play in that side, because it kind of changes how you perceive what your mission is, you know?
Yeah.
But let's start from the beginning. Where are you originally from?
I'm from Santa Monica, California, born and raised. Um, yeah, just kind of grew up out there, started playing music at a young age, and
H-
you know,
How did you first get into music? Like was your first?
you know, I I feel like any passions that come out of someone just is somewhat unexplainable. It just kind of happens and that fire is lit. But I started playing piano when I was 9 or 10, and then started playing drums at about 12 or 13. And from there, I really got heavily into drums and was just in tons of bands and became a studio musician, as well as, like, backed up people like, Robbie Krieger from The Doors. I toured with him forever, and a lot of the, Allman Brothers kids, we were in
Wow.
bands together. And, you know, uh, yeah, it just kind of grew like that. And then at a certain point, I started composing, licensing music to, different TV shows, films, scoring friends' short films alongside, I had started a band called Deadsy with a friend of mine, and, we got signed to DreamWorks, and, went on tour for most of my 20s, as well as started composing. And yeah, it kind of, that's the
Wow.
short version of how it started.
Do you remember the first artist you fell in love with and what
Oh,
song it
yeah.
was?
I mean, there's so many because, but as
Yeah.
as a young man, I think, being 12 years old, I think, Van Halen and Led Zeppelin were definitely, like, at the
Uh,
forefront. I, would sit in my room and, put my headphones on and play drums to every album daily.
I was actually just about to mention them, Led Zeppelin, because
Yeah.
I just actually just came out today. One of my episodes on my other podcast, the track list, we reviewed Becoming Led Zeppelin,
Oh, yeah.
and
I just watched that. Yeah.
good documentary. It was a very good documentary.
Yeah.
But the thing I like across, so I love music documentaries. I like
Oh, yeah.
music like stories in general. But the one thing I noticed, especially like in their case, is how like like how within the world like that you operate in, you guys like I noticed that they kind of cut across all these different other artists, these like dudes who end up going on to be super famous like them, and I'm just like in if I was in finance, this doesn't happen. If I was in I don't know, coffee, if I was a cafe barista, I'm not meeting the next great cafe barista. So I always wondered, like, I think it's something that happens with comedians and
Yeah.
musicians, and I'm wondering
Well,
what
and
is it about them?
artists. I mean, I think when there's always communities of, musicians, artists, songwriters. I mean, I think it, crosses all arts,
Right.
boundaries or founders even. I mean, look at Silicon Valley. I mean, I'm sure, a lot of those
Mm.
guys work together, splintered off to, I think, it become you find people that have common interests. I love surrounding myself with people that, do similar things or not, but just are great at what they do. It's inspiring to be inspired by other people. I think that's why, you probably love music documentaries as I do, or any behind the scenes thing. I mean, you watch that Led Zeppelin documentary, and Led Zeppelin's one of the most iconic bands of all time, and it's almost like they're not human. And then you see these documentaries, and it breaks it down, and it's like everybody's a person trying to do what they're doing, and it's just so interesting to see that on that basic human level of like, oh God, that's I was doing that, or I did it this way too. I'm not in Led Zeppelin, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
it's an interesting kind of thing.
I Me and my co-host on my other show, we have this thing we call the music cinematic universe because of like, and then I think we first started talking about this when we did the movie Ray with Jamie Foxx, and how many different artists and musicians and composers and arrangers he came up around. And then if you then watch like Quincy Jones is, he talks
Yeah.
a lot about those same relationships, and I'm just like, it's so fascinating that there's like this universe of these amazing talents that just, they either worked with each other, or they played around each other, or they were competitive with each other. There was something that connected them, and I always, I just love. You're right. I think I like that story of the communal, um, the group effort to make it to where they want to go.
Well, when you come up with people at the same time, it's like when I was in my band, you know, we had moderate success and sold a few 100,000 records, but ended up going on tour with all of our friends' bands, from Korn to, Deftones to
Um,
Linkin Park to, Stained, whomever, and like those were our friends doing the same thing at the same time. They just happened to blow up bigger, or you know what I mean? But then
yeah,
they let you open up for them, or it's that kind of community thing that I think, it's like everybody gets to where they're going because hopefully somebody at some point maybe helped them out, or like said, "Hey, I'll, make that phone call or that introduction." And, it's kind of like paying it forward. I think,
yeah.
yeah, I think you have to be generous with your time.
So as a music composer, like, are there are there genres that you prefer to kind of work with specifically? I mean, I know to some degree, like, if someone wants to pay you to do something, and it may not be something you're super passionate about, but you still do it because
Yeah.
I
Got to
mean, I
put
think
food on the
everybody's like
table.
that,
No, I'm
right?
kidding.
Yeah.
um,
But are there genres that you like ideally like?
Yeah, sure. I mean, as a composer, you don't really get to choose
Yeah.
too often in terms of like, whatever director friends, producers that you work with, whatever they're sort of working on, which keeps it really interesting and fresh, where things are kind of different every time, but you do fall into kind of like my thing is like everybody needs to find their lane and what they're best at, and take your ego out of it and not try to be the jack of all trades and do everything. It's like, I do have my thing that I think I'm good at. I can do a lot of things, but I really love in terms of genre or style of music.
You know what?
Anything.
Either one.
I mean, I love scoring everything from like, an indie comedy to like a heavy drama, or you know intensely horrific action, horror. It just kind of spans. I love, being as organic as possible and using as many real humans uh, on my scores. But then there's some scores that are way more like electronic and in the box, and more of like, and ambient sort of Brian Eno atmospheres and things that, don't so much call for, the human, guitar player, drummer, whatever, orchestra. So,
Mm,
it's fun to play around with all sorts of things, but yeah, everything for me starts at the piano, in terms of like writing a piece, even if I'm, writing something that's ultimately going to be played on guitar, most of the time I'll start on piano.
right, 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 right.
So it just really depends.
Do you do, I mean, I know you do film and television, but when you say television, do you also do like commercial work as well? Like when with like,
Well, yeah, I mean, so I started out years ago, did a lot of commercials. So my, let's see, my career or whatnot is sort of split in two at this point, where
mm,
there's me, the composer, where I spend my creative time scoring what I love, which is scripted TV and films, really being a part of the storytelling process. And then I have a company called Gramoscope Music that's like a full service music production company. We have a massive catalog of music of, about 70,000 tracks that we license to all the networks and production companies, and we have about 70 composers on staff. So so we do hundreds of unscripted shows, docu-series, video games, commercials. So basically the work that comes in on that side, sometimes I'll jump in on certain things, but at this point I've really time is so limited, as you know,
yeah,
where it's like to sort of like oversee what's happening at that company as well as, you know, put my creative time into the scoring jobs that I'm really passionate about and that I want to do, as well as launching this new business, which is Viralnoise, which
right,
we haven't talked about yet. But there's just a lot there, so I really have to kind of, I love making music no matter what, and I will jump in on a commercial or a theme song or things that come through if there's time, but less and less these days because I really want to focus on, you know, building these businesses as well
sure,
as really putting as much creative time into scoring, the films and TV shows that I am really passionate about and that kind of push my boundaries and limits and, keep that creative stuff flowing.
mm. As a composer, were there any inspirations like as for like a lot of I hear like like as a filmmaker for me, obviously I grew up with George Lucas and grew up with Spielberg, and those are my
Sure.
inspirations as far as like getting into the industry. But obviously, creatively, there are different artists, different directors that I follow through. Is that same for you? Like, did were there any composers that you kind of leaned into earlier in your career?
I mean, there's so many. I mean, just because, you kind of want to like be inspired by everyone, I feel like,
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everybody from, Hans Zimmer to James Newton Howard uh, to Brian Eno to, I mean, the list, it's a pretty long list, it's like,
Have you gotten to
uh,
meet any of your like professional crushes, of course?
sure. And I mean, I've been lucky along the way. I've had a few composers, n not an official mentor role, but people that have really given me a lot of good advice and kind of been there along the way as I've grown through the journey. Like, James Newton Howard was a family friend, and I mean, I've known him since before, since I was like more in the band days and I was starting to compose, and he was always there to give me advice along the way, like when I would kind of hit a wall on something or be in a tough spot with the director and people like that, or like Mike Post, who's like a prolific, the guy's like the godfather of TV scoring. He as well was always around to give me good advice. He was uh, a friend through my best
Mm,
friend's family, and so yeah, it's those sort of relationships are amazing and super helpful because when it comes to scoring to picture, it's like, yeah, you can be a great songwriter, a great musician, you can write tracks all day long, but when you're sitting looking at a movie or a TV show and you got a blank session and it's like, where do you go? How do you do that?
right.
How do you write something that's working with what's happening on screen, the dialogue, the picture changes, whatever it is. And then also when you turn that in and the director is like, that's it's not exactly what I was thinking, this, can you do this, and you have to start revising and going back and forth. It's like all that stuff is like, you know, you kind of have to learn that as you're gaining experience in the real world doing it, whether it's a friend's short film or some big studio movie. It's like you got to kind of learn as you go. It's tough to, I don't, I guess you can learn some of that in school and whatnot, but real life experience obviously is the best teacher.
I mean, I would imagine because we talk about it on my other show. Sometimes when we talk about soundtracks, the how the music in the film or even the TV show sometimes it's its own personality, it's its own character,
Yeah.
and but it's also a character that you it's like a weird character. Like it's a character that's important to the movie or the show, but it also has to stay in the background enough that it doesn't overwhelm the scene itself.
Until it needs to. I mean,
Right.
there's purpose behind every, you know, music can do so much for, a lot of times, I'll be scoring a movie and like there's a problem with the scene and they can't go back and shoot this or shoot that. And it's like they expect you to fix it with music, which totally, I mean, there's so many like tricks and things with
No.
the mix or where you place things, or like you said, where like to me the best scores are like you don't even notice their score, but you're
Yes,
feeling you're
exactly.
feeling you're feeling that emotion, and that's when you're like, oh my God, wait, there was music there, and it's like that's why that's heightening. You have to like know when to use it and when not to, because you don't want to give stuff away or be overly dramatic or so. It's really amazing. Like I think you can see it online, but I mean, a good example is like the somebody posted something where it was like a scene from Jaws without music
I saw that. Yeah.
and then a scene with John Williams music, and it just proves you put music up against anything, it changes everything. If there was music playing in the background right now, this would have a totally different vibe. Yeah,
Yeah, that would
depending on what kind of music.
that'd be great to have like this dramatic, yeah, because if you especially if you remove the vocals to it as well, like if you remove the vocals, put this music in there,
Oh yeah,
it just like changes how you like. Is this guy getting fired? No, he's on a podcast. It changes how you think of
because you
what's
got to
going on.
be yeah, and you got to be careful with that too, because you don't want to point people in the wrong direction of the story, or sometimes you do. You want to mess with them and like not let. So it's pretty powerful what you can do with that.
I, a few years ago, I was doing a bunch of different events around AR and VR, and music was at the forefront of the conversation because um, in a 360 environment, sound is so important to understanding what's going on around you and kind of cueing different things to happen.
Yeah,
And it was then is when I really realized how powerful music is for us, and for imagery, for whether it's film or pictures or you know, it's just so it just changes how people interact with their environment, and it was very just
yeah,
you know
yeah. Music and sound design are so like if you stop at any time of the day and you just listen, there's 1,000 sounds happening that you know what I mean? So like when you're watching a movie, they have to build all that out, with like different Foley and sound design and all this stuff. And it completely it affects everything. You know what I mean?
yeah yeah
It's
yeah.
really cool.
So you're doing all this composing. You're doing. I mean, you're obviously crushing it. I mean, you've been doing this for quite a while. What what was the bug that made you that you got in your head to start Viral Noise?
So Basically, so Viral Noise is built on, so Gramoscope Music is, we have this massive catalog of music that we license, for more traditional, film, TV, anything broadcast, trailers, commercials, whatever it is. And for years now, so many different creators, like as we see, like, network TV, there's less and less shows, and like a lot of people are like making movies on YouTube, or, you know, there's all this user generated content, and like the younger generation, they don't even watch TV. They're just watching
Yeah.
like different things on
Yeah, scrolling.
TikTok. And
Yeah.
yeah, and so there's such a huge need for music, not just there, but even on podcasts. And like we've had
Yep.
people approach us so many times wanting royalty free music. Like, how can I get the quality that you guys have in your library of all this music that's been battle tested in all these shows, from the Real Housewives to Wicked Tuna to the First 48? It's like, how do I get that music in my content? And so we took a couple years and we built this platform where basically we're able to license 35,000 plus music tracks, 30,000 sound effects that have been used in your favorite TV shows, films, what have you, and you can now license it royalty free on a subscription basis. And basically, we're servicing everybody from, you know, the the TikTok YouTuber, Instagram creator, to the podcaster, to the freelance, editor, to, I mean, the use cases are through the roof. And I really feel like this is sort of the direction that everything's headed in. I feel like, the traditional side of things, that's never going to end, but it is a very crowded space,
Yep.
and it's just ever changing. There seems like there's, at least this past couple of years, with strikes and whatnot, there's less and less shows, and a lot of things have gone to streaming. So it's just a different, it's kind of just trying to kind of like adjust and be forward thinking. I mean, we're not the first in this space at all. It's
Right.
it's it's not crowded, but I do think we're bringing something different because we're bringing music that's made by real people, that's been featured in all these amazing shows, and we're now like making it available at like it's very cheap
Mm.
for people to access. And I think it's just going to up everybody's content who uses it. I mean, no question.
What like of the skills and the experiences that you've acquired as a composer, how do they help you in running, viral noise, and like how does it help you when while starting this business from a content part piece of this?
Well, I mean, it's two separate sides of your brain, the creative part and the business part. And you know uh obviously, making the music and making sure that's top notch. And we have composers all around the world composing for our catalog now. And that's the easy part, because that's just what we do on a daily basis. We make 5 to 10 new albums a month. And we also build catalogs for other networks and production companies and what have you. The business side, I don't know, that just kind of you know, like composing, learned along the way, and just always trying to kind of like up what I'm doing and find the next thing, rather than be like, oh, well, things used to be like this. Hopefully they go back to the way they were. It's like things usually don't go backwards, and they just go forwards. And especially with like, this crazy like AI revolution and all that stuff, it's like the next 5 years are going to be pretty crazy. Just the stuff that really starts to come out, and the things that get eliminated that you used to have to hire a person for. I mean, it's exciting yet scary because it's the unknown. But I do think you need to kind of like make friends with all these things and try to figure out how that works in your workflow, so that you can like progress as a creator, business owner, whatever you do, because it's everything's kind of moving forward.
Yeah, yeah, it's I mean, I was on calls today that kind of made me think that too, like where like throughout the industry, all at all levels of the film and television industry, or you forget that the creative space
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
I think it's just like there's like a it's like it's kind of like a little bit of a tsunami that came in and is just going out back to sea. you have to adjust what you've done to kind of survive that. Like, and I tell people, don't be afraid of AI. Like, especially right now, get in on it while it's early because you know it's here. It's not going away. Tomorrow, someone's not coming on TV and saying, "Well, AI is gone. I shut it off, and we don't have to worry about that anymore." It's here.
No. Yeah, no,
So
exactly. And there's way, there's good things about it, and then there's,
right.
not good things. But I think you gotta like find what works for you so that you can kind of like, you know, like I said, make friends with it. Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah. What so in 2 or 3 years, what's your dream vision for viral noise?
I mean, yeah, for me, in 2 or 3 years, I would love to really have the platform built out even more, and really be servicing a ton of subscribers with amazing, great music. That's really my hope. I know it'll happen because hard work begets
Yes, sir.
work begets work, and you got to put a lot of things out there to get a few things back. And we're just I think this we just launched a few months ago, so
Oh, okay.
it's this first year. I think is really just about getting the whole organic strategy together, some dip into the paid ads and all that stuff, but really kind of like figure out, you got to find what your thing is. And
Yeah.
viral noise is so different than anything I've ever done. And I had no idea the deep, dark hole that, owning like a SaaS business was. I had no idea. So it's been like this amazing, half, like, oh, geez, education of like, what it takes to, I didn't, know about SEO and backlinks and
Right.
community outreach and influencer partnerships. And I mean, there's just so
So
much, there's
much.
so many areas, and you got to cover all those areas. So it's about like, how do you do that and what's the best way to do it? Because, for us right now, we're still bootstrapping because I really want to
Right.
kind of prove this out and really get it rolling before we kind of take that next step of,
Hmm.
either taking an investment or partnership or whatnot.
Well, I can tell you as a podcaster and as a former Spotifyer, um, podcasts. I mean, I could definitely. There's like you said, it's a crowded space, but it's not. I think there's room for a lot of. There's still like room in the market
Sure, sure.
because the amount of content that's out there right now,
Crazy.
the number of podcasts, and more importantly, not just podcasts, content, scripted podcasts, scripted content is even on TikTok. Like
Uh-huh.
I was talking to a guy who's like a influencer on TikTok, and he was talking about how like he was getting like hundreds of thousands of followers, and and he was like, I'm shutting it down for like a month. I'm like, why are you doing that? He's like, because the new movement for TikTok, and you'll start seeing it, and you've already started to see it, which is TikTokers are starting to create longer form content, which is
Yeah,
why
totally.
the platform is said now you can put up 30-minute content
Yeah, people
pieces.
are making like short films and
They're
stuff.
making short films. They're starting
Cool.
series, and all of
Well,
that's going to
see,
need,
this is look what's happening.
yeah,
Like that's certain. Like that's where this is all going. And like my daughter that's 13, she's not gonna watch TV.
she's not
She's
going to
gonna be
watch
like,
CNN.
she's gonna be like, I love this series that this guy does on TikTok,
Yeah,
or I love this documentary. Like, and all that stuff's gonna need music, and it has
yep,
to be royalty free music
yep,
that you're not getting copyright claims on. That's like at that level to. So yeah, I mean that to me that it's a no brainer.
yep.
It's just a matter of like, just raising awareness for, what we're doing. Uh, amongst the others. Because I mean, there are a handful of, top-notch, awesome royalty-free companies, but then there is a ton of garbage. Like
There's a
just
ton.
that's just like not even music. But you know, there is some out there that is pretty great. So we're just trying to.
How do you so how do you find, and this question is probably coming from my listeners because I know they ask me stuff like this all the time in our private events that we do.
Uh,
How do, if you're a musician or a music artist or composer, how do you get music on your platform? How do you find the music that, you know, that you put into people's hands?
I mean, a lot of times for us, because, Gramoscope is sort of the back engine
Sure.
for Viral Noise in terms of creating. So it really starts with like the shows we're doing
Mm,
and the music we're supplying to all these different networks and production companies or shows, where like, for instance, we're just starting the new season of, Vanderpump Rules, for example.
right.
So we know what type of music they're asking for. So we have our writers creating all sorts of different albums or sorry, tracks, and we're putting together the albums for that. And once it's in our system, we then kind of also feed it over to Viral Noise. So it's like a double whammy in terms of like opportunity for composers. But we get
Nice.
submissions, all day long, and it's just a matter of finding people that are great at what they do because, we do certain shows where I'm like, oh, that would be perfect for, Irving. He's the, action orchestral master, or this would be good for this guy because he's so great at pop. So we really try to like find people that don't try to do everything because the jack of all trades is the jack of no trades. It's, what are you great at? And then it's like, oh, when you hone in on that, it's
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. We're
Yeah.
doing like we're refreshing making a new like Olympics sounding album. And there's a
Oh.
couple composers we have that are just like, oh my God, like you would be hard pressed to be like, is that a real orchestra or is that like in the box? It's just crazy. So, we people submit all the time. I mean, obviously through Viral Noise or Gramoscope, and we really try to listen through to everybody's stuff because we don't just take submissions of music. Really, we really try to find people that can kind of come into the fold. Obviously, if they have existing music and it's great, we try to like work out a deal. But yeah,
No, that makes
yeah.
sense. I mean, that makes sense to do it that way, especially because, um, like, if I'm a podcaster and I'm doing a specific type of show, let's just say I'm doing Batman Unhinged, so I know there's going to be a little orchestral, it's going to be a little dark. Um, I can, if I have a show that you've done that's in that I know kind of, oh, I saw that show. That sounds, the music on this kind of good. You at least have in your head what make like what's on the platform or like what you're looking for, and then you can kind of look on it based on a flavor of sorts. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure, definitely.
Um, the music. Oh, I was going. This is what I was going to tell you. If you definitely do some like I don't know how you're breaking out the categories, but make sure you do some music for the World Cup because man, there's going
Oh
to
yeah,
be
definitely, totally. Yes,
that's
100%.
that's like my everyday. Someone's calling me or talking to me about, hey, what are you doing for the World Cup? Who's doing such for the World Cup? I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay, okay, I get it. World Cup.
yeah. No, for sure, for sure. I
I
mean,
don't
it's
know
such
what
a
that
massive
means. I don't
thing.
know what that kind of music would be, but
It's kind of a bunch of different. It's a bunch of different styles. It's not as specific as like
right,
what is Olympic sounding music.
right, right.
But yeah, definitely because we supply a lot of music to Fox Sports or NBC Sports.
Yep.
So we were routinely kind of putting together different playlists and things for them based on what we think
Mm.
they can use.
I love that you're going for it. I think
It's the only way to be.
it's the only way to be, right? I mean,
You have to.
uh, you know,
How much it's like how much more you have to think of like how much more fight you have in you, how much more
yeah, that's
hustle
true.
because like there's no I tell people this all the time. There's no like, okay, I made it, I'm here. Like I don't even think like Jeff Bezos is like, okay, I made it,
I
I'm
don't
here. It's
think
like
so.
there's always something. It's the journey, and it's like, you know, unfortunately, you always have to hustle. I don't,
Yeah,
sure, there's certain things that do come your way, and there's repeat business and stuff like that. But like,
still got to
in terms of
maintain
like
it.
moving forward, it's like
Yeah,
I spend, at least a quarter to half of my time, not just composing, but like reaching out to people and sending
Yes.
emails and putting
Yes.
stuff out into the universe because like not it don't all come back,
No.
some of it, but you have to constantly output. And that's what I tell like young composers who are like, not aware of that side of things. It's like you have to be a great composer, you have to be, great at what you do, you have to have a musical perspective, all that stuff. But then it's like, how do you get jobs? How do you hook up with directors? How do you, and it's like you have to, reach out, send out your music, it's a constant
That's a
thing.
good question. Like, so as a young composer, like I've had a couple different composers, younger composers. Actually, I think we have a couple people in common, and that's another story for another time, probably. Um, but as I get the younger ones, they're always asking me, how do they get their music into film or television? And from the filmmaker piece of me, I tell them, you're not going to jump from doing nothing into doing like a Netflix show unless you're like, you just,
Unless your best friend is the director of a
yeah,
show and he fights for you and takes you, you know what I mean?
yeah. I'm like,
And that
so,
happens, yeah.
but there are so many indie filmmakers out there
Yeah.
that you could just offer your services for free, you
Oh,
know?
music's, I mean, I'm sorry, like go to a place like USC, go to any film school,
Yeah,
make friends with any director, producer, because you have to start out, and people don't like this, but you got to start out doing like everything for free,
yeah,
free. Like
yeah,
you have to build up some sort of resume and like, you know, work begets work. It really does. It's like,
yeah.
of course, when I started, the whole reason that I'm even where I'm at right now with like Gramoscope and Viral Noise is because when I started, the first film that I scored it was like early 2000s. It was called The Good Night, and it was with Penelope Cruz, Danny DeVito, Gwyneth Paltrow, Martin Freeman. Awesome movie, amazing opportunity. The fact that I even made it through without getting fired because it was like one of my first big movies. It was a feat. I got to, record a full orchestra. The movie went to Sundance. It was this great experience. And
Hmm.
at the end of the experience, I was like, okay, I'm only scoring movies. I'm not doing anything else. No TV, no reality shows. I was like, this is it. This felt so good. This is my calling. And then 6 months went by and I was like, huh, I can't pay my rent. Like, this is tough. Like, what's
Yeah,
going on? Like, and I was like, how do I 50-50 this music thing where it's like 50% is just pure creativity, passion, like doing the things I want to do. And what's the other 50% that's going to like keep the lights on while I do that or between jobs or whatnot? Because you never know how long that stretch can be. And that's when I started cataloging my music and doing those other things that maybe I wasn't as passionate about, but I still got to make music, which doesn't matter what you're making music for, at least for me, you're making music and it's awesome. Who doesn't like to make music? It's
yeah.
it's it's the best thing ever.
It's the best.
So that's how kind of Gramoscope got built, and as it started keeping the lights on, I could do like a cool indie film that maybe didn't pay as much as it should, but like what a great creative experience. And those things kind of complement the business side of things because you're doing cool things. Maybe it's not making you that much money, but this other stuff that's keeping the lights on, it gives it even more credibility and back and forth you go.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Before we wrap up, I have a few fun questions that we kind
yeah,
of standardize here. So,
I hope I can answer them.
what was the last show you binged?
The last show I binged, actually, I'm embarrassed to say, but so at work here, some of the guys like a few months back, we'll watch shows at lunch sometimes, like if we eat together. And one of them was like, "Have you ever seen, Game of Thrones?" And I was like, honestly, I'm like the one person I didn't watch it because by the time I was about to start, it was in it was towards the end, and everybody was saying how terrible it was, and it was the worst ending. So they were like, we have to watch it. For the past couple months, we've been watching Game of Thrones, and we're literally to the end. And I mean, I can't believe I waited this long to watch it, but yeah, epic, epic.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, that's a heck of an admit right there. But you know what?
yeah.
Don't I think I came into the Game of Thrones when it was halfway over.
it's almost better. You get so much. You have such a big runway of stuff to
Yeah,
watch.
yeah, it was a lot. Oh yeah, it was a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
What's your favorite word?
That is so hard.
Yeah, I know. Everyone says the same thing. And I'm like, yeah, it is. I
I
guess
don't
it
want to like
is.
hold it up by thinking or trying to come up with.
We can come back to it.
Yeah, let's come back to that one.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I'd love to be a professional surfer.
Oh, that is so crazy. The last person who was on my show was a producer who was a professional surfer.
Oh wow. Yeah, I mean, just yeah, that would be the most I feel like that would be the best job of all time because you're like in the ocean, you're outside. I mean, the surfing is just the best.
Oh, okay. Do you surf at all?
Well, so I grew up surfing and I've surfed forever, and then as as things went, I surf less and less, but I still get out, a handful of times during the year, but not enough, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I love watching surfing for some reason. I will like 100 Foot Wave if you haven't watched that show.
Yeah,
Oh
I've
my
seen it.
God,
It's scary as
epic.
hell.
I know exactly. That's like terrifying surfing, but still, I can't even imagine
Yeah,
just those guys turn off the fear component in their brain and they're just like it's
yeah.
crazy.
I would like to interview them like right after they've done that, just because it
Oh
must be
yeah.
so interesting.
I mean,
What's the scariest movie you've ever seen?
I feel like I don't know if it's the scariest movie I've ever seen, like in terms of like if I went back, I don't know if I would think it was as scary, but for some reason years ago I watched that movie Insidious and I was like by myself. I mean, I was probably in my early 20s. I was by myself like in my apartment. It was nighttime and something about that movie I was like, "Holy like this is the kind of like psychological like crazy scary movie." So,
Yeah, that was a good movie.
yeah.
It was a good movie.
There's so many. I mean, Shining. Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah, 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 yeah. You wake up tomorrow and your entire schedule is free. No work, no responsibilities. What does that perfect day look like for you?
Oh God. I mean, spending time with my family for sure.
Nice.
Maybe going to Disneyland.
There you go. There you go.
uh, hitting the beach, being outdoors because I feel like we're indoors so much. Like
Yeah.
I actually walked to work today, which I don't do so much. My house is like 20-minute walk from here.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, just being outside, I just really, to me, I'm at the point in life where like I really being happy and doing things, that's like the most important thing. Work
Mm,
obviously and family and all, but you can't show up for everybody else if you're just not
right.
in
You got
in
to
a
take
good
care of yourself or you
headspace.
can take care of anybody else.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
So,
the airplane thing when you do the mask drop down. Got to put yours on first before you can put anybody else's.
that's funny.
So, um, what will we find on your recently played playlist?
So I've been listening to, I just started this movie, and so I've been listening just based on, the film and like what is wanted. I don't know, I've been listening to a lot of Green Day as well
Oh,
as I love, I don't know if you've heard of this band Turnstile. Their new record is
mm-mm.
incredible. Uh, that
Turns.
and probably, some Brian Eno. And then my kids get into my Spotify, so I'm sure there's a ton of Taylor Swift and Sabrina Carpenter or what have you on there.
Sure, it's them. Sure.
Yeah, it is. It totally, it's the
What was the best piece of advice you've received and from whom?
from, sorry?
From who?
Oh God. Um, Years ago, I mean, this is just the first one that popped in my head. There's obviously many nuggets of advice over the years, but again, my mom was became friends with Andy Summers from The Police, the guitar
Oh,
player.
wow.
And so, he was a family friend for years and, he would come see my band play and stuff. And at a certain point when I was really heavily into playing drums with it, so this is like teenage years, I was talking to him and asking for advice. He was like, honestly, if I could tell you to do one thing, you need to start writing music. You can't just be a drummer. You gotta write music and you gotta be part of that process and you gotta create things. You know what I mean? You have to, make music so you're a part. of that, and that you have, pieces of things. And it was definitely some sound advice for sure. Because, you want to own what you're doing.
Yeah.
Definitely being in a band is a crazy dynamic. You just, yeah,
Wow.
it was good
It is a
advice.
great piece of advice, actually. It's the first time I've heard something like that, but it's true.
Well, yeah, I mean, it goes for anything, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you're either working for somebody or you're working for you.
Yeah.
And like you kind of have to, you know, rather than make somebody else's dream or vision happen, why not try to make yours?
Yep.
You get
Yep.
one shot at this, so,
Absolutely.
or hopefully
Um,
more than one.
what's your guilty pleasure snack?
God, I'm so it's the worst. I try to like not do it, but like French fries and potato chips, I cannot
Oh, yeah.
stay away. It's like there's just a killer. Every week I'm like, okay, like let's be moderate and like just like chill out. Like I try to like Monday through Friday, like, I'm pretty good, like exercising, eat a salad for lunch or whatever. But the weekend rolls around, man, or
Those
like I
French
have a
fries fry. Hey,
business dinner. Yeah. I'm just like, oh, you want to order fries with that? I know you do. Well, we'll split them.
yeah, that's see there. That's the magic word. Like if I go out with some friends, I'm like, "Do you want to split some fries?" That way, it doesn't make you feel like
Yeah.
you know.
Even though, yeah, but also, with the kids, they're always eating like all this stuff that you're like, ooh, that looks really good, but
That's a question. What's one weird talent or hobby that most people don't know about you?
huh. I can uh I can spin a basketball on my finger and do all sorts of tricks with it. I played a lot of sports, but I was terrible at basketball, and all my friends that played basketball, we discovered that I could do that at a young age, and they were really impressed by it. But no, my sports were more like tennis, soccer, baseball, skating, surfing, snowboarding, that kind of
Okay.
stuff.
Still.
More like lower extremity kind of stuff, waist down for the most part.
That's funny. Well,
Yeah.
this was great. I'm looking forward to seeing what Viral Noise does, man.
Oh, thank you.
I have a ton of podcast friends and
Yeah, if we can help
filmmaker
you or any of
friends.
your friends, man, I mean, we do podcasts all the time.
Yeah, I'm gonna spread the word because I have a big community of film and film and content creators, like 10,000 plus.
Oh, wow. I mean, listen, man, we're definitely partnering right now with tons of content creators and influencers, and like if people want to use the music for this first little go round, we're giving away free subscriptions through the end of the year to
Oh,
any real content creators that are going to make stuff with our music and tag us in it and let us repost it, so that that
oh, that's
yeah,
awesome, man.
yeah,
We'll have to have a separate conversation.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Where can people follow you on social media?
So viralnoise.com is the best place to go, and then Instagram, TikTok, Viral Noise is on there, as well as, I have my own personal Instagram, which is just Alec Puro. But yeah, definitely trying to spread the word of Viral Noise, and
Make
you know,
Viral Noise go viral.
exactly, or let us help you go viral.
Yeah, there you go. All right, man. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody for listening. Be sure to follow me at the Darren Jenkins on Instagram, and you can check us out. Our new website is up, I believe. I think it's up at the Darren Jenkins. I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
thedarrenjenkins.card.co. But you can find us on all the social media, and obviously you can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Pandora, iHeartRadio, anywhere you get your podcast. Till next time, I'm Darren Jenkins, and stay safe, everyone. Eat your vegetables, and we'll see you next time.